And then, basically just a button that says, "Hey, for a recall," and then so they'll click on the road map, they'll pick what precinct. Okay, so if it's.
We're live.
if it's the names and everything, then-
We're on the YouTubes.
We're live.
All right. It's 9 o'clock on October 17th. I'm gonna call this emergency meeting of the Hill County Commission put to order. We do have a quorum present. If you guys will stand, we'll pray real quick. Lord, we come before you asking for wisdom and discernment. You tell us in your word that if anyone lacks wisdom, that all we have to do is ask and you'll give it generously, Lord. So today I ask for wisdom and discernment in any decisions that were made here at this table, Lord, that you would guide us with your steady hand, Lord. Lord, where there's confusion, Lord, please bring clarity. Where there's turmoil, bring peace. Where there's weariness, renew our strength for the work ahead, Lord. May we ask for your blessings and grace. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen.
All right, anybody here for open forum today? No one here for open forum? Anybody online? Nope. All right, we're moving to the agenda. Discuss item number 1, discuss interaction to suspend and terminate the employment of the Hill County Elections Administrator. Gentlemen, let me give you some background as to what has occurred. Yesterday, well, I gotta go way back for you guys. In July, I was contacted by the Secretary of State's office in reference to some concerns about voter registration. Basically, when you go to change your driver's license address, you will go in there and you can pick, change your driver's license, and they ask you, do you want to register to vote? Yes. Those go to the state pushes them out to every elections administrator, the correct elections administrator for your county, precinct, so on. They called us and said that we had an enormous backlog of voters that were attempting to register, but we had not accepted. Being contacted by the Secretary of State, from what I'm being told, is fairly rare in these matters. So I took it very seriously. I documented the entire thing, made some questions, wrote some questions down for our elections administrator, and called him into my office and asked these questions. I do have a copy of those questions if you gentlemen would like to see them at some point. They will also be going in Mr. Torres's personnel file. After asking those questions, I did tell Mr. Torres that I would be calling a meeting of the Hill County Elections Commission, and I will be asking the exact same questions that I just asked them in front of the commission. And then obviously the commission will probably have some questions of their own. We had that meeting. We were assured that the problem was going to be remedied. We weren't really given a reason as to why it was that way. The Secretary of State said that generally registering a new voter takes a minute at max to accept into our system. So it wasn't a labor issue.
So they push
Manpower.
that from the state. Our computers, you click a button and it goes into the system.
Well, you have to confirm the address and the precincts are all correct. And there are some that have issues. Maybe they put the wrong address, swapped a number or something to where that address doesn't actually exist. And so the elections office has to go in and confirm and make sure that it's correct. But in general, 98% of them, it's a pretty quick process.
Okay.
And the ones that they do have on backlog that are not right, or they just can't figure out where that person lives or that road doesn't exist, they email the state tries to help them, and they work through that. But that was not the majority of these per the state. There also seemed to be some personality conflict between the state and our elections administrator. They said they were treated very unprofessionally.
The state was?
The state was treated very unprofessionally by our elections administrator. We had the commission's meeting, asked questions. We were assured that this next election would be ready to go. The meeting was July 17th, I believe. We have it on the record. So we did determine in that meeting that we wanted to get some data from the state to see exactly what the problem was. Right at that point, it was just verbal. You know, the elections administrator says this, the state says this. So we requested, Mr. Holmes requested some data from the state as to what the real problem was. We wanted to see it on paper. The state took a very long time in getting back to us and finally told us they can't get us the data. It's something about a third-party vendor and we can't have it. We can't get it for you.
Can't or won't.
The Secretary of State's office can't provide it to this. So I've been dealing with the General Counsel of the Secretary of State's office, who's been involved in the redistricting lawsuits, so he's been pretty hard to communicate with, not his fault, but, I feel like perhaps we could get it from DPS where these kiosks are, but it's all third party. And I mean, they talked about putting a cost estimate together. They'd have to get with the vendor to see what they would charge us to extract the data. And so I figured that was gonna be astronomical, but then he came back and said, well, I know we told you we were gonna get a cost estimate to you, but we've kept discussing it and we don't think we can extract the data on our end. We think there's other ways you can get it. I still haven't been told what those other ways might be. So. The information that the lady that called Judge Braswell gave us was that there were over 600 unprocessed voter registration applications from January, over 600. It was in the low 600, I think we started
Right.
600. And then, you know, we had a election in Whitby that was decided by one vote. So. We haven't been able to determine whether or not, you know, that election really would have been affected by these unprocessed applications or not, but.
You had a question?
We're in a meeting right now. Thank you. So. Obviously that election had already taken place by July. We finished the meeting in July, waiting on this data, takes forever. So I decided to call another commissions meeting yesterday because this has been long enough. So we have a meeting yesterday of the elections commission. Talked with Mr. Torres. Mr. Torres was combative or aggressive, not combative, that's the wrong word, was aggressive in the meeting towards the commission with any answer or question that was asked or given. Concerns began to arise during that meeting of this upcoming election. The commission decided that we would be heavily involved in this coming election. And I asked him to give us a daily report at the end of every day of what has been accomplished that day, what the plans are for the next day, and what the new voter registrations count is, and if we're working that number. That was met with some, I don't know what the proper term is.
Resistance?
Yes, resistance would be a good term. We adjourned that meeting and I had a hearing, sat my hearing, grabbed my whiteboard and trucked on over to the elections administration's office. There, Mr. Torres was not there. His two employees were there. So I wrote down a punch list for them to start working on, and they started working hard. And they had probably half of my punch list done before noon. In the meantime, Mr. Torres is nowhere to be found. I called, got forwarded to voicemail, called again, left a message, asked one of his employees if Mr. Torres was coming back, and he said that he is not coming back ever. At that time, I called Mr. Cantrell and asked him, out of abundance of caution, being as I've not spoken to Mr. Torres, to lock all the computer systems down. Mr. Cantrell, if you'll tell the court, not long after Mr. Cantrell received a phone call from Mr. Torres which was.
Yes, after Judge Brazel asked me to lock Aaron out of all the county accounts. I went over to the Covington Annex to try to help Judge with whatever he needed help with, including trying to call Mr. Torres. Mr. Torres didn't answer my phone call, but he called me back a few minutes later, and I asked him if he'd be willing to help me. I have typically had pretty good rapport with Mr. Torres, and he told me no, he would not be willing to help. He said that they've stepped on my last nerve, and that's why I'm going to leave them holding the bag. Were his words, and so I wouldn't help. So I don't know.
So at that time, I made the determination that Mr. Torres has abandoned his post and began acting like we no longer had an elections administrator. We contacted the Secretary of State immediately. We've contacted our vendors and started working them. And we'll get into the rest of the day on our next item. So, with those facts in mind, I will entertain a motion for.
Let me ask you one.
Go ahead.
Quick question. Without that data from the state. To back that up, I mean, we have enough that our liability is mitigated from the county.
I have no idea. I mean, I don't know what the liability. What kind of from Aaron?
Yeah.
Torres?
He abandoned his post. There's no liability at all.
So that's not, it's not involved.
He's gonna say
this decision.
In my professional opinion, I feel like there is sufficient cause to terminate him for cause.
I make a motion to terminate
Uh,
Mr. Torres.
I think what your motion is to accept the action of the elections commission.
Yeah.
Who
The
voted
recommendation.
unanimously to terminate. And it takes a majority vote of commissioners court to approve the action of the elections commission.
I did not fill you in on that part. I apologize. So the meeting prior to this one, that you two were not present for, is the Elections Commission. Did recommend termination to the Commissioners Court. It requires a 4/5 vote. There was 5 out of 5 voted to recommend termination to the Commissioners Court. So.
Then I make a motion to accept recommendation of the elections committee.
Yes. Can we get a new order? Can you get her to wording, please? Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We'll get the order shortly. That'll move us to number 2. As I was in the office, and this is why I believe Mr. Torres had such a problem with us supervising very closely, was we began to find that the elections office was not at all prepared to conduct an election. Ballot proofs were sent out Wednesday night to the entities to get proofed and back to us for an election on Monday. Talking with the state, the ballot proofs should have been done very long ago, because the ones that we would send out to the military should have already been in the mail 30 days ago. Ballot proofs have not been done.
Should have done so.
Yeah. Polling locations, all the voting locations had not been verbally confirmed. Some of them were confirmed off of the basis that we always have elections there. That's how they knew we were going to have an election. They were not verbally confirmed. Election judges were not verbally confirmed. We have no contracts that were presented to the Commissioners Court in reference to the elections we're holding for these other entities, the Hubbard ISD bond election, Itasca ISD bond election, and ESD 1, their election. And then it just came in between the meetings just now, 15 minutes ago, that Itasca City has been attempting to get a hold of Mr. Torres for months to hold an election for them. So we're going to go see if we can't fix that one up here in a minute. So as far as grounds for termination, I think we're fine.
Yeah.
As we got into it, I wrapped my head around the state of affairs in the office. I began making phone calls, and I am pleased to say that we have put together a team of people between county elected officials, state partnerships, and private partnerships that we will be holding this election, and it will be a clean and fair election. I have no doubt. We will be working a lot. That's why we're going to keep this meeting fairly short, because I got stuff to do today.
Yeah.
But I do want to assure you that this election will be run properly, and the faith of the voters of Hill County will be put in the right place with this election. Miss Eubank has stepped in to help us. She's technically not involved in the process by her office title. She has a lot of experience, though. The state Secretary of State's office advised us that the responsibility of the election will fall to the county clerk and tax assessor collected when we don't have an EA in place. So they have stepped up and they're in charge of the election. Them, IT, Miss Eubank, the two full-time employees that are down there, myself, and I'm sure at some point we're going to snag the party chairs in on some stuff. Mr. Holmes, we were burning candle at both ends yesterday to make sure this thing happened. And we have the Secretary of State, actually, Miss Eubank, and the two full-time employees at this moment are on a Teams call with the Secretary of State to get some things lined out because the ballot was not built properly to begin with, according to them. After that, at 10 o'clock today, Hart, which is our vendor for our voting machines, they're putting a person on site to set up all of our voting machines. Sunday, the Secretary of State will put people on the ground here to help us make sure we are ready for Monday's election. We will open voting places on Monday.
There is a cost of our meeting.
This is not free. Obviously, we did not budget for this either. But we're going to make it happen regardless. We will have Secretary of State personnel and Hart personnel on the ground on Monday morning to ensure that our election and polling places are ready to go.
So
In addition to our people.
is there anything we can do that?
We've got to sign those contracts.
Yes, I've got my girls going to
Okay.
get it.
We've got contracts to sign with. During our commissions meeting, I did invite all of the parties that had an election that I knew of to be here for complete transparency to those folks. I want them to know what's going on. We're not trying to hide anything and our solutions to fixing it. Hubbard ISD, Itasca ISD, Abbott ISD was here, just wanted to see the process. And then Itasca Municipal was here as well. And that's how I found out about their bill today. So they were pleased with us and pleased that we reached out and are very happy going forward from what they've told me. So in the
At some point, after the dust settles, we will search it out.
So the way that's gonna look is the commission will do a job posting. We'll take resumes, do interviews, then the commission with the 4/5 vote recommends a new EA to the commissioner's court. Mr. Warren, am I correct in how that would be?
Yeah, just real quickly, just so everybody understands the process and election code. So under the Constitution, this be a little bit, there's playbook reading of what we are. Under the state constitution, the role of conducting elections is under the county clerk. The role of registration falls under the tax assessor collector. Unless a county decides to advocate for those duties and reassign them to an elections administrator. That was a decision that's made by this court 20+ years ago. Okay, when that decision is made, a thing called an elections commission is created. The elections commission is there to make recommendations for hiring and firing an election administrator and to provide oversight. That commission is comprised of the county judge is the chair of that commission, the county clerk, the tax assessor collector because of their constitutional duties, and then the chair of both parties of the 5-member committee. So as the chair, the county judge calls those meetings. Okay, so when it comes to a hiring and firing decision, that still is the responsibility of commissioner's court. There's a recommendation made by the elections commission of the code, and by code, it requires a 4/5 approval to either hire or fire. And if you go, why is that number so high? Well, it's a political position, it's trying to be sure there's not just a political vendetta that happens. So obviously, you saw this morning, it was unanimous, all 5 members, which include the Republican chair, the Democrat chair, so. If nobody can say this was some politically voted, this is a absolute process oriented decision. So commission have been meeting regularly over the years, trying to get these issues addressed, could not get them addressed. So this meeting was a standard trying to figure out, okay, I'm asking the same questions I've asked for 10 years in this office. And yeah, problem
solved.
Sure. Mr. Hanson,
After one.
Mr. Hanson, do you have anything you would like to tell the Commissioners Court in reference to this? No, just in general, I gave one party chair an opportunity to speak. I figured I'd better give the.
What I will say, so that it's public record, in the past, I guess I have always seen a different side of Mr. Torres. I never saw the attitude that we saw yesterday. I supported him yesterday in his job, and yesterday afternoon was a slap in the face. You know, I saw things that I had never seen before, heard complaints I've never heard. I was just fantastic.
Just want to make sure that you're gonna discuss the polling places.
That's what I just wrote down.
Oh,
We didn't talk.
so
about
At the end of the 2 part change.
right. So one of the decisions in our discussion of this election is right now we are going to have 3 polling places,
Early voting.
early voting places. We're only talking about early voting right now. So I had to kind of get in the weeds on this one. If we were to go, one of the problems that we did find out is that Votech, who runs the check-in, when you go to check in to vote, those machines are no longer supported. The company's out of business. So if we cannot take the voter rolls off of Teams, which is the state website, and put them on that computer, then we have to go old school to the book. Right, we print them all off, and you find your name and your address, and you sign next to it, and then right.
And then we stamp it.
Then we stamp it voting. The problem with that is if we have 3 voting places, we have to have 3 books, and there's no way to know that if you went to Hubbard and then couldn't come to here and then go to Huron. Okay, so there are pros and cons to both of these things. So the idea has been presented that we only have 1 early voting polling place to prevent that. If we have to use paper. If we can get Votech to work, then it's easy. You can't, obviously there's mechanisms to build it where you can't commit voter fraud. The Secretary of State said it's a felony. Nobody will do it.
Yeah, that is.
The sheriff would be out of a job if people didn't do things because they were felons. So we are going to have to determine this fact. I like Mr. Holmes suggested, I would like input from both party chairs on this matter and their opinions and their concerns, and whoever would like to go first.
Oh, so just so commissioners know, so in our election systems, we have 2 systems. One is checking in the voter to be sure that they are trying to vote at the location where they are registered to vote. And as long as that happens, then yes, you get to vote. And we go through photo ID and all those steps and all that. The second step is a completely different piece of hardware which is the Heart Intercivic is the vendor's name, that prints the ballot on demand. Okay, so there are two standalone systems, they are not interconnected. So the check-in system, which is the laptop, which you go in, it's got a little pad, and they type your name and look you up, is working. There's nothing wrong with it. The issue is if it goes kaput, there's nobody to answer the phone if you call for tech support. So discussions last night were, like I said, Marcel's working very hard right now with the Secretary of State to see if we could, be sure to get the correct name. To be sure you have the correct voters registered, because stuff changes. That's why you have a cutoff 30 days before election. Okay, so we need to have that list of the early election of who all eligible to vote in Hill County. And then to be sure that those names are assigned to the correct ballot style. I.e., if you lived in Lum, you're not coded to vote in Itasca Bond if you don't reside in Itasca. Okay, so as long as that information can transfer across into laptops, it'll make check-in very much easier on election day. Because it's easy to download information on the laptop. We just proceed as normal. The worst case would be, let's say something they all go kaput, hardware wise. Well, we always have paper backup anyway, like the old school way. If somebody comes in, you flip through the page to find them and then stamp it. I mean, we always have that as a backup at every polling location during elections. So election day, that's different because you just have a voting precinct, everybody from precinct 10 on that list. What the county judge is saying that we gotta look at is, if it's early voting, you can vote at any location, no matter where you live in the county. So you would have to have the list of every eligible voter for the entire county at each location. And
You're talking about a book.
you're just book. And human nature, flipping through, it's gonna take a lot more time, you have the opportunity for error, so. I don't know what the status is as of yesterday, maybe Marshall's down there with the state working right now, let's hope that, they get all that downloaded. And then we can just proceed as normal, and that's the route we're, trying to proceed with. Like I said, there is always a backup with paper, so. The decision is like, well, let's do everything possible to be able to use the VOTEC system. Because the solution is paper, we're gonna have to have it anyway, let's try to get the check-in. It'll add to the efficiency. Either way, you check to be sure that you haven't voted before and all that, it's a manual system. And there's always the opportunity for an eye to miss something.
Mr. Henson, do you have an opinion on that?
I agree that we were trying.
That the only thing I don't like about putting it all down to one location is it inconveniences our voters. And this is a constitutional election, historically, is a low turnout anyway. So I would like to give the voter every opportunity that they can. I agree. To get their vote in, and by eliminating that. Now, if we had to go to paper, I sure would probably reverse that decision. But right now, it seems that VOTEC is going to work.
And we do have to know that.
If VOTEC's gonna work.
Today,
Very,
Yeah, I mean, we have to get those loaded today, and that's, if you guys want to take a tour over at the EA office today, you'll see some work getting
Paper
done.
flying?
No, yeah.
Yeah, and also, the judge mentioned this, but the two gentlemen who work in the office, Brandon and Hunter, have always been very helpful. And at their election day, they're very helpful for judges, and we're not seeing anything that they are jumping in with sleeves rolled up, doing whatever they can to get the correct job done, so.
I spoke in depth.
I was concerned about that.
I spoke in
That's
depth.
why I was making sure
Yeah.
you knew that does not seem to be an issue at all.
I spoke in depth with both of those gentlemen, as quickly as I could. With the timeline we had yesterday. They were both kept very much in the dark for most of the processes besides the actual hands-on. This is the voting machine and this is how it works. But as far as paperwork, these contracts, the ballot making, that was all behind lock and key. They were not allowed to be a part of that process. They seemed pretty upset as well with the situation. not with us or the commission. So I believe that both of them are here for Hill County, here for a vote that people can trust.
They value their jobs.
There's that too. There's that too.
And one of them expressed to me in no uncertain terms yesterday that he's looking forward to new leadership.
That's a good thing to hear.
Yeah.
The check-in system, and that's something it's been looking like we need to buy new equipment.
I believe
We
that
have-
we
we have-
budgeted for it. Did we not?
This hardware needs to be replaced, and we were starting to have issues with hardware with that, the Votech system we've had for over 10 years. And I mean, so hardware, computer hardware needs to be replaced no matter what. So we have begun the process of looking at new vendors to provide a new check-in system. There's not a lot of vendors in the country. There's one or two. One that made a presentation. Within, you know, I believe there were some recommendations in the budget for the monies to purchase that equipment. We were hoping to have had that done before this constitutional amendment, just because it's a smaller election, new equipment, because judges trying to learn for the familiar before the primary. And I guess just another thing that RDA just quit doing. So we're gonna need to move on that very fast as soon as this election is complete. I think I get very fast track. It's a small world out there for electrical equipment, and it doesn't take very long to talk to other counties using your system, give me their names. And I know, and Tom knows through party stuff, we know who the EA, like, I can make 3 phone calls and find out, it's like, yeah, this is a good thing, or like, do not use that system. So if it feel like an expedite decision system, that we have lots of checks and balances to make the best decision for the voters who can.
So moving forward with our agenda, this is the what we just voted on. We have 3 contracts here that were sent. Well, one is from ESD, and it's their resolution calling for their election, where it states that Mr. Torres agreed to hold their election. So that's going to be more of an observe and record. This one is from Itasca, which does require signature. It says it requires a signature from the contracting officer, which I'm guessing is now going to be you.
Well, no, that's you.
That's you.
Well, it has Aaron Torres.
It's always.
So it should have never said it.
Right.
Interesting. So I'm gonna sign that if we pass that, and then the contract for Hubbard ISD to conduct their school.
So what will we do about the city of Itasca?
I think that
The court
It-
give him the authority.
yeah,
Give you the authority.
give me the authority to sign it whenever we get to it. I think it's the county's duty to make this election right. Being as it was a county employee that
Are those
was negligent.
the city president?
They were here. I told them that I would like to take them over to the elections administration office. Yeah. They tried. What's that?
We got time to put on an election day.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, it's the first anybody's ever heard of this.
Hello.
Custody and file this so meetings for.
Yeah. Can one of you, whoever wants to represent the city, can you give us your name real quick?
Yes, fine.
Okay. Ms. Basie, you're representing the city of Itasca. You advised me earlier, and I was just telling the commissioners that you were trying to hold an election
Yes,
for November 4th.
yes.
And you got no response from the elections office?
He did call me one time and told me. This was probably a month ago, that he would be sending me the information. I sent him the order of the ballot. And hadn't heard back, and I've been trying to contact him since to get that proof.
Have you guys advertised this election? So your city is under the impression you're having an election?
Yes,
Okay, when was the election called? We don't know what action the city's taken to call for the election.
July, June, or it was called several months ago, yes. And I have the order, I had it all last, emailed that to him.
Can you rate send that to the
Yes. Yes.
judge?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Just, okay, so the council voted to have an election.
Yes.
You have that documentation.
Yes.
So, who, received applications to run for office?
Who would see?
Well, I guess there's people running for offices in the city election, right? Okay, so who accepted those applications and approved those applications? Okay,
And I sent it. Didn't hear anything back, but I'm gonna check like all the voter registrations, but those are all good,
okay.
so.
Are you the city secretary?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So the city sounds like they did the notification, they voted as an entity to conduct an election. The city, as the person conducting that election, during the proper time for applications, has applications. The city, as that entity, has approved those certain applications, so it sounded like
They just don't have a contract.
the city did everything that they were doing to follow code to conduct an election. And just like anybody, they could choose to contract with the county to help conduct the election. But it sounds like the political subdivision, which the city has followed the steps per code in order to conduct the proper election. They just need the contract of who's gonna be doing the conduction of election, so.
Is that something that?
I think it's a matter of just like what you're doing for the EST.
I think as far as I need to know if logistically we can pull it off and get you on the ballot.
So. Y'all were wanting to use county equipment, I'm guessing, to do the polling,
Yes.
and did you have any kind of, are there email chains between you and Mr. Torres?
I can look, I never got a response to my last email, they were mainly just phone calls.
Okay.
And the last I had talked to him, he said he would call me back with information, because he just had a death test in.
Had y'all discussed how many machines you were asking for?
No,
Cause that's a pretty
We-
good question.
everything is always done at the Civic Center at Hillville with,
So in that regard, if I hear you saying correctly, is the city is wishing to contract with the county to conduct their election, period.
Yeah.
So what should happen then in that instance, as long as we get the ballot style loaded, then when somebody comes to check in to Hillcrest Center on election day, they get checked in and it says, oh, you're eligible to vote in this election, and the city election, they can vote for constitutional that. Early voting would not happen on Itasca, it happened at the 3 early vote centers the county has, so they would be using the county system completely in order to conduct their election. But yes, we need to know who,
But we got,
very quickly, who
we
the
gotta
candidates are in the races to see if a ballot style can be created.
we have to prove their ballot today.
Yeah,
And is it all city council and a mayor? What
it's
is
just city council.
just city council?
Yes.
Yeah.
one position, 2
Great.
or 3.
Okay.
They're figuring it all out, we'll get it.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, so, but really, yeah,
So that's what I would like to ask the court then on behalf of Itasca is to give me the authority to sign that contract whenever we get one drawn up.
I make a motion to give the judge the authority to sign a contract with Itasca to hold an election.
City of Itasca. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And then I would like to have a motion to accept these contracts as they are written for Hubbard ISD, Itasca ISD, and ESD one. Motion. Second. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Under one motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion.
Okay, Ms. Eubanks has agreed to oversee this.
Under the guidance of the county clerk and the tax assessor clerk.
Do we need motion for that, or she just good to
If
go?
she's
Just
just,
the elections committee's already done that.
well, the per code, it falls to these two.
Okay.
They have recruited Marcia to help. In addition to many other offices and entities. So. Miss Eubank right there.
Time and start.
Can we let her talk and
Yes, just a second. Let me, before I leave. Ms. Eubank, do you have anything to report about regarding the November 4th election or early?
Secretary of State, reviewed the election configuration, there's a few things we had to correct, but for the most part, it's we well already established. The ballot styles are already completed, the OLVR, the registered voters list, I kind of showed them how you can. You know, you used to print rolls, it would make them beautiful and voter sign, if you're gonna do it manually that way, but I think. Given the way you can export it, I think it will be pretty easy to move that over to Votech. I went ahead and took the liberty of telling Brennan this morning, there's a couple of technicians from Votech. While that company is no longer providing support, they're offering like, contractual support. And given the emergency of our situation, I said, call those folks, if we can get somebody down here with the credentials to. They're not gonna touch anything, they're just gonna watch and advise. So I took the liberty of seeing if he can find out and set that up.
Thank you.
The Secretary of State is gonna be here Sunday at noon to finish the walkthrough with us. And they'll be here all week. So now the two EA deputies have all of the contacts for each component team that they need. And they're on call 24/7 for the rest of this configuration steps.
Perfect.
So the most important thing is ballot style approval.
more
So we kind of have
another glitch?
we're supposed to be holding an election for the city of Itasca today.
Yes, it's configured in there.
Wonderful.
How did that happen?
Ta-da!
We didn't know about that.
There's ballot style.
Perfect.
He did that. So you're saying that was,
Yes, and it's one of on the components, it's one of the selections, Itasca City, Itasca ISD, Hubbard ISD, and ESD.
And so we have their it's for 3 council
Yes.
members. Perfect.
God is working.
Yes, hell is.
I told you, what could possibly go wrong?
We just approved all their contracts.
A couple of questions, and Will, you can probably speak to this. The voter registration side, when we check in voters, if we can make the vote type portion functional, perfect. If not, there's a way that you can make their sign-in sheets. I think we do that anyway as the backup. The Secretary of State was fine with us. They thought it was pretty aggressive and, we're all confident we can do that with the 3 locations. Let's see how the rest of today goes on the 2 outliers. The nice thing is the ballot styles are all prepared together. So if it's Hubbard, the ISD election is gonna be on top. And if they're outside of the city limits ETJ, then also the ESD. So the ballot styles are correct in their presentation that way.
Good.
We just wanna have a backup. So I wanna make sure that we have 110% confidence in Votech for its functionality, and if not, then we'll go with the sign.
Yeah. One of the things that we could just do or if we end up having to go with paper is print those, so just one giant book. A through D, F through so and so, and we just kind of spend some money for some extra parts during early voting. So to help speed along, check it, That's what we have to do.
Right, the other, the other issue, with Alexa, which is a different, she's the on-site support from Secretary of State will be here. She suggested, also contacting our ballot board, get those folks kind of in the loop. And Brandon nor I know the list, the short list of those folks.
The EVPD.
Yeah.
Yes, no.
I might defer to you to.
Yeah, we
get
have-
folks up to speed.
Yeah.
and-
That's what we're dealing with, yeah.
Yeah. Because I think Alexa will kind of sit down with them and kind of go through some of the new processes that they provide. Most of this is to do with these Linux team system. And the signature verification functionality isn't quite there yet.
So, just so, what we're talking about is, as a part of the election, there is an early vote ballot board. Which has a judge and clerks, to assist with the aspects of early voting. Part of early voting is mail-in ballots. So you can have a separate signature verification committee, which literally is the election integrity feature. When somebody's requested a ballot, those signatures match when it comes back. The early commitment under a small election in rural areas. It is fine, it is encoded and acceptable to have the early vote ballot board do the work of the signature verification committee.
Right,
So-
that's what they seem to.
Yeah, and that's where a constitutional amendment that election is falling up, the workload is not such that it would overload those folks to do that. So they still do their work as usual. It's and what they do first is just make sure the signatures match and say, yes, we think this is a valid ballot, and they get to put over the top. Then on the day of the election, they can you download the early voting, people are early voted. And mail-in ballots can be tabulated.
Right.
And that's the work of the early vote ballot board.
So in reference to, is there any action you need this court to take?
I don't think so. The only thing that I would suggest, what's gonna be a question. Is if we can get Votex, this contractor support. I mean, we're gonna need some kind of an agreement. I'm assuming they're not gonna do this for free. So that is gonna, be some consideration.
So you need a motion to give you the authority to execute that.
I mean, that would be super helpful.
Well, we don't have a lot of time to
No,
reconvene.
Yeah.
so that's gonna be that side, that component, which, we have a backup plan. It's a use of paper. If that doesn't, if that goes south, we're gonna do our level best. My most important focus is gonna be, Hart's gonna be here at 10 o'clock. That's our ballot system. We have to do the accuracy testing, logic, testing before we can print any ballots, period. So, we wanna make sure that those are loaded into Hart, run the logic, and we're gonna do a delayed posting. That was the Secretary of State's recommendation, not a choice. So we're thinking probably after lunch, we'll post a notice and run those tests. Then we can print all the ABVMs and get those mailed out, because none of those have been processed.
Do we know how many there were?
There's quite a few.
Do you foresee any other contracts? No, do you? Wait. You trying to talk me out?
I was gonna make a motion.
Do you foresee any other contracts? Cause right now we're giving me authority here, there, whatever,
That's the
okay.
only variable that I see. I mean, I think Hart's already taken care of. We've got outside support for them. It's kind of in our agreement anyway, and anything over and above, and that can be addressed through the contract. We already have this.
So like the two ISDs. They wanted some changes from their proof. To have some language bolded, that we've been able to do that,
Yes, we can do that, because we haven't finalized, but we're still.
That's what Art's gonna be doing.
Okay.
Yes, and that's what we're gonna get finalized, and that's sometimes the key of getting you folks all here is to make sure. We get this language squared away. Cause there was, the ESD said not bold on some, yeah.
And then. Have any mail-in ballots been sent out?
No.
It's not.
No,
Do we know if we received any complaints?
we
I
wouldn't
mean, the
have.
phone was forwarding to a cell phone, so. it wasn't
Yesterday was-
in the
Yeah,
office.
yesterday was the first time in about a year that the phone rang in the office once we had IT stop the forwarding.
So, couple questions. Do we know what the cost of the VOTEC support and the heart support is gonna be?
Well, so with Heart, we already have an agreement.
No,
They-
Hart's charging us
What?
$6,600 for now.
I get. Just use.
But it
Yeah.
doesn't make any difference what the cost. is.
Yeah, I mean-
It doesn't make any difference what the cost is.
No, I-
We understand. We are told.
The
Since we did budget.
If they can give us today, and then perhaps Monday on our first day of early voting, then I think we're good. It's a very, and the forward facing side, I'm very familiar. It's just the admin, the loading side that we need to, it's not that complicated, I'm still sure we can figure it out.
It is that complicated.
It's.
It is. Don't let her,
You are.
don't let her, yeah. She speaks a different language.
Well, I'll make a motion to give the judge the authority to sign contract with VOTEC if one is needed.
For support.
Yeah, and
Miss Christie's like, y'all gonna.
you all sent from, because VOTEC doesn't exist.
It's a
VOTEC
contract.
It's a contract probably with an individual.
It's a contract analyst, I would
A
say that.
contract analyst that knows the VOTEC.
Oh, you better go tell her.
Can we let Miss Christie know that we've changed that entire motion?
So I make a motion that we give the judge the authority to contract with a analyst for the VOTEC system.
I want you to add in there any other thing we have missed.
Can we make it that
Thought
broad?
about that, but I.
No, I mean, I actually think at this juncture, that's the last big component. I mean, everything else is through Heart or Secretary of State, and I think we'll be squared away.
All right, I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Please don't leave till we sign that. Do we have any other business regarding this election? We're still on item number 2, discussing this.
I would make 100% sure that contact information for the lead for each entity, so Hubbard, Itasca.
So Hubbard Itasca, they have already left. I'll get their information. City of Itasca is here, and I'd like us to talk to them to make sure they're under the impression that we're having a polling place at their civic center.
Yeah,
But not on election day.
Yeah, on election day.
Not for our.
Right. But are we tracking on, I don't know that we're tracking on that. That's what,
Not,
this is.
oh, okay, yeah, so, I mean, the way the ballot style looks to me is that this is on top of our statewide amendment, so the first page is all, and then on the back, you get all of the local
Your other
stuff.
choices.
Yes.
Cool. Okay.
One more quick question. Did we figure out anything with regard to Green UISD? Does that came up?
I think we decided that was old.
it was old. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Same with Aquila.
So if VOTEC works, we don't have any glitches there, where will the 3 polling places be?
Like normal,
Okay.
Hubbard,
Huron,
Huron and
Hubbard,
Hillsborough.
Hillsborough,
and then on election day, it'll be all of our.
all the precincts.
And I'm gonna defer to Will for making sure, let's back check on making sure all of our judges are. And we'll get ready on that too, but I just want, all those folks.
See, the only thing we need to figure out is having 3 early voting locations. Normally, we had, since we had 3 people elected, 1 person would be stationed at each location. So, we're gonna have, we're gonna. I have a suspicion that we send 1 to Hubbard, 1 to Huron, and. Crisis Center, which is coming to, we'll have people there to help assist, so
Yeah, I
that would
mean,
be my solution.
I have a massive duration, just on Monday morning, so I'm gonna be kind of, but as soon as I get back to this.
And that's Liz Schneider. She
Oh,
does,
yeah,
so I mean, not anticipating problems.
Yeah, sure.
You gotta need security on Sunday.
Yes, please.
I mean,
Just one at the Covington anyways.
Also, Mayor, could you send somebody over to grab the key from Jason Patrick who covered for the polling location over there?
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll entertain one more motion.
Anything that how soon will the election committee start seeking applications for?
I'm after the election,
Yeah.
and then we'll start.
Let's get this one behind.
Yeah.
I make a motion, girl.
Second.